Hi, welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover. I am Leslie Ann Murray, and today I have Alexander Chee. I started stalking you on social media because you were so hilarious and I love your presence. And then I started reading your work and I fell madly in love with you. So I'm so honored for you to be here, and thank you.
Thank you.
A little bit about Alexander Chee. He is the best-selling author of the novel Edinburgh and The Queen of the Night, and the essay collection How to Write an Autobiographical Novel, a contributing editor at the New Republic, and an editor-at-large at VQR. His essays and stories have appeared in the New York Times, T Magazine, and the 2016 and 29 Best American Essays. He is a 2001 United States Artist Fellow, a 2021 Guggenheim Fellow, yes, in nonfiction, and the recipient of a Whitman Award and an NEA Fellowship. Alexander, welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I will add one thing to that. I'm also the editor of this year's Best American Essays, which comes out in 2 months. Comes out in November.
Oh, nice.
Just keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, I will. So tell us about your collaboration with Boxwalla.
Sure. They just sort of appeared in my life a couple of years ago as fans who started sending me their sort of magical book boxes. And then they sent me also their magical skincare boxes after my friend Mira Jacob, who is also one of their fans, who is also one of the people that they look out for. She and I, got together and we did masks together. And then they were like, "Do you want the skincare box too?" And I was like, yes. They've never asked me to do anything to promote their boxes, but in the meantime, like, I've been so enriched by the kind of really wonderful literary taste that they have. Their attention to a global literature available in translation is impeccable. And so it's really, their regular book boxes that they do all on their own are very much the kind of gift you could get for like your most persnickety book friend, your most discerning book friend who's like, you want to give me something? The person who you think like, has all of the books, that you might think of to buy them. Boxwalla book series could surprise them.
Yeah.
So then when they approached me, they were like, do you want to do an American fiction series for us? And it was kind of intimidating to think about initially, even though it was also exciting to think about. And that came about, I think, sometime we started talking about ideas last fall initially, and like late fall, early winter, and gradually those things developed into the series that you have before you. So
tell us about the first two books you chose for the Boxwalla.
So we have an incredible tide of books coming at us. We have for a few years now, and I feel like each year my friends and I are like, oh my God, where are these books coming from? And the answer is that, a lot of us have been working very hard at teaching writing, at making opportunities for younger writers, for older writers, for people who have been shut out in any number of ways. I don't like the term underrepresented because as we can see now after the survey that was published, did you see this in 2020? The Times published a survey that showed like something horrifying, like 95% of what had been published since 1950 was by white writers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I mean, it was good to know,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't so surprising, but it was really intense to like have a hard data number, especially because the kinds of people who you complain about this kind of thing to are always like, well, where's your evidence?
Yeah.
Can you prove it? So that number has changed in the last few years. And what I'm worried about is I still see book reviews focused mostly on the same people and the same kinds of people. And that's changing too. But I just thought I would take the opportunity in doing this series to spotlight a few writers that I felt like were doing something really different from what we've had previously. So like Alejandro Varela's novel, yes, The Town of Babylon, is, for example, what he calls public health fiction, which sounds like maybe it wouldn't be that exciting. And I've joked with him, I'm like, well, that is really, you are going to sell a ton of books with that one. But, the experience of it, though, is really profound. It's a novel about what it costs a family to choose one star who's going to escape the trap the rest of the family has stepped into.
Mm-hmm.
And what it costs that family and what it costs them, what it could even cost a town of people like that, in ways that people both know and don't know. Mm-hmm. Sort of like with that statistic about American publishing.
Yeah.
And the storyline seems at first like a setup that's going to be a comic novel. A man goes home to help his mom take care of his dad. Mm-hmm. And his father won't eat the right foods. He keeps sneaking out for the fatty meats that got him in the hospital to begin with. And he sees that it's his high school reunion that he's never been to, and he decides to go. One of his parents is Salvadoran, one is Colombian. He hasn't been back in many years because of reasons that we're about to discover as we go into the hotel bar where this reunion is happening. And he starts talking about how all of the Nicoles are cops now, and you're in Long Island. And it just keeps making its way from there into this world which is full of people we know, but we're sort of being reintroduced to what we already know in this really beautiful way. Brother Alive by Zain Khalid, the second book, is this really powerful. Oh wait, do you have the book to? Should give him the name. There we go. Thank you. That one is a very different kind of novel in some ways because it starts out with a sort of a mystery of a kind that is so American for the way in which America has so consistently made a home for a certain kind of utopian dreamer. Someone who's like, there's a better world and I know what it is, So we emerge into Staten Island, into the home of this very unusual family. It's three transnational adoptees of the same age who were brothers. One is Korean. One is I want to say Nigerian, and the other is Middle Eastern in a way that his father will not describe, which is peculiar because his father, their father, is an imam on Staten Island, who is from Saudi Arabia and who is sort of raising them all together in what seems like a social experiment that he won't describe. And the story of how this peculiar family came to be there is what unspools ahead of these boys and what's ahead in the novel. And it takes us just from ordinary places, like, you know, the brother who sells bogus 9/11 souvenirs for cash to tourists, to like a really dark plot involving those arms deals between the United States and Saudi Arabia that we all never want to know about in one way, and yet all need to know about in another. The one twist is that there is an imaginary brother who is sort of the fourth brother, who is a part of the novel, and he's the sort of X factor in the way the story develops and unspools for us. And yeah, it's just a daring novel. It's ingenious. The characters are just compelling, and again, a mix of like the people that we might know in our life in New York or from our friends who live in New York, and then never see them in books. Right. And between the two novels, I felt like we were seeing this way of reimagining both the world as well as what we think of as the American suburb, the American suburban, you know, which is one of those things that is always kind of being blasted at us in certain ways, even as it, you know, has this completely different character. It's changed so much in all this time from what it was both supposed to be and what it was. It's this whole other thing. And I feel like both writers are exploring the stories that come out of the place that this suburb is now, this American suburb is now.
What is your ultimate goal with this series, if you had an ultimate goal?
I mean, at a very kind of micro level, it was to make a series that could stand up to the series that already exists for Boxwalla. I guess rewriting Americana or rewriting America, I am hoping to just make a kind of showcase for that, both for these new writers as well as the writers who've been around, you know, who either are, you know, just being supported finally by a mainstream press or by an indie press that sees their value, or who have just been working alone on something for a long time, you know.
When I was reading your work and seeing everything you do, I feel that so many established writers and emerging writers seek you out for writing advice and support. And how did you become such a given writer?
I mean, I wouldn't be where I am now without my writing groups, without the Asian American Writers Workshop, Kundiman, or the Lambda Literary Foundation, the anthologies that they put me in before my first novel ever appeared. I remember being asked in the aughts, what is it like to be a gay writer? Like it was something exotic, and I was like, they give you a parade before you get to the stadium instead of after. Because I had felt very supported by things like, the many different anthologies and the editors who had introduced me to writers like Edmund White, and who blurbed my first novel and who included me in an anthology of his, and like it just was this progression that really helped me become who I was. And paying attention to those communities was a large part of, I think, how I managed to do everything that I've been able to do. Or as my friend Lisa Lucas likes to say, look what books did. Which is, I love that. Yeah, look what books did. Look what books can do.
My God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to speak to you. I really adore your writing. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful and not pretensive. And just like, it's like what writing is supposed to be like. Appreciated that. It was just, everything flowed well, and it didn't feel like, oh, this writer is trying to be someone else. I felt like really connected to you, and I love that. I haven't had that in a long time reading, and feel like, wow, I feel really connected to this writer right now. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for your sincerity. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me as a guest. I really appreciate it.